Hello, friends. An attack helicopter from the defenders flies at maximum speed over the cultivated fields of Donetsk and flies over the rear defenses of the front, which have been prepared to provide protected positions in case Ivan gets lucky in some area of the front. We know it's unlikely, but we have to be prepared for any eventuality. An invader thought that a Mosquito from the 7th Air Assault Corps had run out of battery, but on the contrary, it was fully ready to provide the kind of attention invaders don't appreciate. As the song by Ruben Blades says, life gives you surprises, surprises life gives you. The logistical blockade imposed by the Ukrainian swarm in the rear of the horde continues on the Zaporizhzhia front, and in the footage we see how the defenders work as a team. First, a reconnaissance drone identifies a KAMAZ truck belonging to the invaders, which was transporting ammunition no less than 105 kilometers behind enemy lines. So it requests an attack mission, which is carried out by a loitering munition, Bulava from the 422nd Unmanned Systems Regiment Luftwaffe, which sets a new distance record for the unit. On the sanctions front against Butler's Ghost Fleet, in the early hours of Sunday, June 14, the British Armed Forces intercepted and boarded the tanker Smyrthos while it was transiting the English Channel. The vessel, which was sailing under the Cameroonian flag, was identified as part of the so-called Shadow Fleet of the Z Horde and had departed from the Russian port of Ust-Luga in the Baltic Sea. This is the first operation of its kind carried out by the United Kingdom directly against a tanker suspected of evading sanctions. The British Ministry of Defense confirmed that the action was carried out by operators of the 42 Commando of the Royal Marines and officers of the National Crime Agency, who boarded the tanker in an operation that lasted 6 hours. No shots were fired and no injuries were reported. The boarding was supported by helicopters from the Royal Navy's Maritime Air Group, including a Chinook, a Merlin Mk4, and a Wildcat. In addition, a RAF P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft provided general surveillance, while the Type 23 frigate HMS Sutherland and the mine countermeasures vessel HMS Ledbury provided naval cover. In the footage released by the British Ministry of Defense, you can see the commandos descending from the helicopters using the fast rope method. Then they proceeded to take control of the critical areas of the ship, including the bridge and the engine room. This was essential, as the area is among the world's busiest maritime routes. The Smyrtov had already been previously sanctioned by the United Kingdom for its involvement in transporting Russian oil, which, as we know, is a key source of cash for Ivan. So it's critical to sustain the invading horde's effort against Ukraine. The Ghost Fleet uses different evasion tactics, including changing flags and names while in transit, ship-to-ship oil transfers at sea, and manipulating navigation tracking systems, all to evade the sanctions that affect them. After the successful boarding, the vessel is being moved to a safe anchorage off the southern coast of England near Dorset, where it will remain under the control of the armed forces. Meanwhile, the British authorities are conducting further investigations into compliance with sanctions and carrying out environmental and safety assessments. On the oil sanctions front, we have several good news items. A coordinated nighttime operation by the 1st Independent Center for Unmanned Systems and the 414th Brigade occurred early June 14, successfully targeting the Azot chemical plant in Novomoskov. Paharis de Meyer led the attack, correct? The ones who successfully attacked the Azot chemical plant, .com, Tatra Online.
Titula, Rusia.
The attack caused a significant fire at the facility, which is one of the largest chemical complexes in Russia, both in terms of volume and product diversity, making it a critical node in the supply chain for the invaders' industry. The industrial complex produces ammonia, nitrogen fertilizers, nitric acid, methanol, industrial gases, and other chemicals that are essential for the manufacture of explosives, propellants, and ammunition, which are used in the production of artillery shells and multiple types of munitions that are critical to sustaining their invasion. The mosquitoes scored precise hits that caused explosions and a sustained fire visible throughout the complex. Videos from local witnesses show flames and thick smoke rising from the plant's premises. The damage assessment is ongoing, but the visible fire suggests that the attack managed to disrupt production operations. The Azot plant has been attacked several times, which shows that it is a high-value target. That was all. No, gentlemen, because here comes the best part. Since the Alpha Detachment of the Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, carried out a precise long-range drone strike during the night against the strategic fuel depot Kombinat Temp in Rydinsk or Vlas de Yaroslav, more than 700 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The target, which is operated by the Federal Agency for State Reserves of Mordor, houses part of the Untouchable strategic oil reserves, which are specifically designated to be used in times of war and serious nationwide emergencies. The depot includes more than 60 storage tanks, each with a capacity of over 5,000 cubic meters. It serves as a key logistical hub for supplying fuel to Russian forces and critical infrastructure in central and northern Russia, including Moscow. The attack caused a large fire that continued burning throughout the night, creating a huge column of smoke visible across the region. In addition, there was oily fallout, oily droplets falling on vehicles, buildings, and vegetation, which is evidence of the scale of the fire. This is the second Ukrainian attack on the same depot in 6 months, and President Zelensky himself confirmed the operation, congratulating the soldiers on their success in this mission. By attacking the strategic reserves that Russia was stockpiling to sustain a prolonged war, Ukraine continues to impose real costs on the aggressor's ability to maintain its invasion. The Russian mill blogger Rivar created it, an infographic showing the latest round of attacks from Ukraine against the infrastructure in the rear of the invaders, which makes it clear how the attacks are intensifying, and that Ivan simply doesn't have the capacity to defend all the potential targets, which range from all kinds of industrial plants to transportation and railway network nodes. As we can all see, the special military operation is going great. So, without any sign of panic, some Russian politicians have begun to openly propose the use of nuclear weapons to force Ukraine to surrender. As we all remember, the criminal regime of Zelensky, filled with Russophobia and anti-communism with the support of the European Union, attacked our country with the goal of installing a neo-Nazi regime led by gangsters. That is why our president, Vladimir Putin, was forced to launch a special military operation. The government of Ukraine has decided that it will reunite. I think that we, as deputies, should ask the Russian president to authorize the use of nuclear weapons to attack the flag supporters. And you, Izukovich? This will force Ukrainian leaders to sign a peace deal and end the special military operation. This is the classic video where, in less than a minute, the Russians ask themselves, "Why does everyone hate us?" And a few seconds later, they answer themselves. If you want to see additional content about the war in Ukraine, I invite you to visit our 2 new channels, where we present information about the war in a different format. Don't forget to check them out. Remember to visit our Patreon, where for just $1, you'll have access to a large number of uncensored videos and documentaries. Don't forget to